Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Pivotal Change. I'm your host, Ryan Kahn with CS Business Consulting and Sheldon Associates CPA, and we are here to talk all about business leadership, being an entrepreneur, having influence, or wanting to increase your influence. And we have a great lineup for today. We have one of my favorite guests, and if it weren't for my parents having been on the show, I'd probably say my favorite guest. We're back with Talyn Rahman Figueroa. She is the boss diplomat, and she is all about branding yourself, growing your brand, and being able to make your impressions and grow yourself in that capacity. So, Talyn, welcome back.
Hi, so nice to be on the show again, and thank you for saying I'm your second favorite. I can't top your parents ever.
They're tough ones to top, but you're right up there for sure. So, one thing that I realized that as we've been having this conversation, I never asked a very simple question of you, and that question is: when thinking about considering a brand, we may be brand new to even thinking in the mindset of we need a brand. What is just the most first crucial step that anyone should take when saying, I need to develop my brand?
Yeah, so these are the questions that you should be looking out for. Do I want more money in my business? Do I want better clients in my business? Do I want to work less in my business? All of these ties up into having a really strong personal brand. When you have a brand, and when you have an even powerful brand, you become a magnet and you start to grow your base and you start to attract people who like you, who think you're cool, who absolutely love everything that you're doing. These are the signs of individuals saying, I don't know if I need a personal brand. If you're asking yourself those questions, that's where you need to start.
Mm. So good. So recognizing, so basically finding the need, identifying the need. I love that very much, and I really like the way you simply put that. Like if you get that people start recognizing, saying, "Hey, this person's cool. I like this person. I want to learn more, know more, see more of this person." You might be starting a brand and not really knowing it. So that's very cool. So when we get into actually working formally, trying to work on building a brand, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see, or maybe some of the misconceptions that people run off and chase when they're getting kicked off and creating this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that your personal brand is just your image and how you put yourself together, or it's just your story and your past. It's a little bit more deeper than that, because if you want to become a premium brand, then you need to really ensure that you have a robust system in your business to back that up. So you can charge $1,000 as a photographer or $5,000 as a photographer. But then if your website, your social media, and any place you're present does not match what you're saying, you're going to look like a scam artist. So you do have to make sure that whatever you're representing in person matches on every single platform and is coming across as the same person giving that same message.
I love that so much because we talked before about the imposter syndrome, and you don't want to give other people the impression that you might be a scammer or an imposter. And you may have the highest level of skill. In your example, be the best photographer with the clearest image, clearest product. But if the process is clunky, you really don't look like you're offering what they expect you to be selling, then you're going to have a problem with that brand being able to grow. Is that the message that I'm hearing?
Absolutely, because you can always raise your prices, but then if your process stays the same, if the way you work with your clients stay the same, if nothing about you online stays the same, that's a lot of red flags, you know?
Mm.
I'm not going to spend an extra $1,000, $2,000 when I don't clearly see the value. When the business owner themselves are saying, "Yeah, I'm great at what I do. I'm really great. I'm awesome." When you're bigging yourself up that much with that much confidence, you need to make sure that you have evidence to back that up. And that's the difference between being, I don't know, McDonald's versus a five-star restaurant, right? You have to back up what you're saying.
I love that so much because we've conveyed an image of value to ourselves. We want to sell value. Whatever the product or the service is, there has to be a perceived value behind it. And then the perceived value has to deliver that real world value, is what I hear you saying. And I love that so much because I don't think people have it said to them in the way that you just said it.
Yeah.
I think people understand that, like, I need to make a good product, or I need to make something that people are going to come back to, or however their brain thinks in their industry. But to really label it and really put that image and that results based value is what's going to drive your brand forward.
Absolutely. And I actually have an example for you, Ryan. So very
Perfect.
recently, I was working with my client. She was freaking out because she's about to launch her new business. She's so used to being paid by insurance, and now she's becoming a private practice with her own set of clients. And I was showing her how to use her website as a portfolio to upsell her clients and onboard them immediately on the call. And the first thing she said was, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think my clients will buy into this. And I had to remind her, guess what? I did the exact same thing with you, and you became a $10,000 client. Now, if you bought my services and I'm putting the exact same system in your business, what makes you think you can't attract a $10,000 client too?
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful to, you very, I'm going to say delicately kind of slapped her across the face and said, "Hey, wake up," because I
That's the
just
fairy boss mother way. Like,
that's exactly right. Yeah, and that's why I used simple language like that too. It's like, hey, I got to smack you across the face here real quick because look at the results, or look at where you are today versus where you were, and it worked on you. Why on earth would it not work on somebody else? And of course, I know that she's getting her value out of you, so the promise, the delivery is there as well. So you're kind of getting into my next question, which is specific to the leader having that clearly defined brand. How much does it impact the leader's ability to inspire and manage their teams more effectively and efficiently?
can we use the general election as a good example? Like,
Absolutely.
it's not too contentious. So we just had Donald Trump become president for the second time, and he won the popular vote and the electoral votes and all of that. Now, one of the reasons why Donald Trump was so successful is because he has a very powerful brand, and his personal brand is actually protecting him from all of the bad PR that he's getting. You know, he could be a convicted criminal. His followers don't care because they believe in the message and the values that he brings as an individual, because his rhetoric, he's saying the same thing for the last like 20, 30 decades. Nothing about what he said has changed, but he's just got a bigger microphone. And as a result, he was able to win a lot of people's votes because his personal brand spoke for him, and his personal brand also protected him from any of the bad PR that he's been getting. So
I
that's what a powerful personal brand does for any individual.
I think that is literally a global example that you can
Mhm.
use to really drive this message home that that personal brand is so important, like you said. And I have seen it time and time again where I've been under attack in my life and I don't have any, I guess I've got a cool brand, but I'm no Donald Trump, right? And I've come under attack in various areas in my life. And unknowingly, it was my brand, my reputation, and the services I have provided, where other people raised their hands and said, "No, no, 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 that's not true. That's not accurate." And I had a little bit of a hedge about me, from my little version of a personal brand.
Mhm.
And you can see the power and the impact that it can have because those were people that were just constituents. They weren't even direct reports and followers. They weren't his staff. They weren't his peers. Those were strangers in almost every circumstance. And that's pretty impressive. And you talk about, the ability to inspire people. How much does that directly coordinate with scalability, inspiration, and scalability?
Tenfold. The minute you start your personal brand today, it's a 10x growth. So you know how you put money in the stock market and eventually it builds up interest. Your personal brand does exactly that. So you could be working on your personal brand for a year and then leave it alone for a bit. That doesn't go away. But if you work on it 1% every single day, then that has a compound interest. So imagine if you start today, you don't know where you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You can become a head of state in that same time. And I had the same experience when I used to work with my clients back in London. These were politicians and diplomats. 10 years when I was looking back in my history and how the kind of people that I met, some of these people have become heads of state. Back then, they weren't that, but because they were consistent with their personal brand, they made it to the top. And now they're cashing it all in because they had that status.
I love that so much. How you say you can 10x yourself, and so I immediately, this is funny, went to my accountant brain and started moving decimal points and adding zeros. Right, so that's
Yeah.
that's how I think of it. Where other people may have a different image, but when you say the 10x and the multiplication, and that money's not that money, that investment of your personal brand is not lost. It's always there. You always have established who you are. you get that to lean back on. And you made a great 1% improvement. That's the whole James Clear, make 1% improvement every day. You have that exponential growth. You're echoing some of the greatest leaders there are. So how much is it of value to me to look at other people's brands, not try to make myself them, but see what they did with their brand and try to replicate strategies and tactics and methodology?
Best way possible, because you should work on the back of other people who are already successful. And I said this somewhere else as well. It's not fake it till you make it, it's imitate until you become. So imitate what other people have done, but don't try to be them. Just be yourself,
Right.
honor your past, honor the journey that you're in right now, and just be yourself using other people's strategies. That is a shortcut. So definitely use it.
I love it so much. That's a great place for us to hit pause real quick and cut to commercial. And everyone else, you stay tight. We'll be right back with more Pivotal Change right after this.